Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
The Prime Minister says Bahamians will know the exact date for the general election very soon. The story coming up.
An announcement by the Prime Minister prompts an increase in voter registration. That story straight ahead.
Scores of supporters turn out to the office of the Prime Minister to make their demands known. That story is coming up straight ahead.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, Bahamians have exactly 1 week to get registered to vote. Although a date for the general election has not yet been announced, Prime Minister Perry Christie says Parliament will dissolve next week. Bahamians will soon know the election date. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Christie said Bahamians will know very, very soon the exact date when they will head to the polls for the general election. But he said he also felt compelled to let Bahamians know when Parliament will be dissolved, so no one has an excuse for not registering to vote.
I wanted to give people an opportunity to know that if they do not register by a certain date, they cannot vote. I wanted to advance our democracy. We've had a lot of debate about putting more certainty into the process. So the first thing I did was, I said, listen, even though the House of Assembly has been adjourned to the 10th of April, we are going to be having a dissolution at a precise time.
And that's why Christie said he announced in a statement on Sunday that Bahamians have until next Monday to register. Writs of a general election will be issued next week Tuesday. However, there is one detail Bahamians had hoped the Prime Minister would have included in his statement: the date for the 2017 general election.
There's no confusion about me and my mind and my approach to this. At the end of the day, I've been in public life long enough to know that people will make a determination as to who will govern them. And whether or not it happens in the way I would like it to happen, they're going to make a determination.
Parliament was last dissolved on April 10th, 2012 by a proclamation from then Governor General Sir Arthur Foulkes. Provost Marshal Ellison Greenslade read the proclamation that day on the steps of the House of Assembly.
I, Sir Arthur Foulkes, Governor General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, do hereby proclaim that Parliament shall be and is hereby dissolved on the 10th day of April 2012.
Under the Constitution, there must be a dissolution of Parliament 5 years after the first sitting of the House after an election. As the election season intensifies, some Bahamians have called for a leadership debate. Christie, who debated opponent Tommy Turnquest before the 2002 election, suggested today that he is open to the idea, but doesn't think his main opponent would go for it.
A fellow who wants to be Prime Minister, he hides. Right? He see you and he run away from you because he needs to issue a statement and let people hear from this statement.
During his address at the Thompson Boulevard renaming ceremony today, Christie stressed the importance of public officials being accountable, stating it is something he had to preach for the past 5 years, especially to his Minister of State for Finance.
And even though I have a brilliant young man, and Michael Halkitis, a graduate of the College of the Bahamas, I have to be able to challenge him. Because it's so important to recognize how easy it is to piss away money. Excuse me for the language. That's what you call rich language.
Reporting for our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In response to the Prime Minister's announcement, Free National Movement leader Dr. Hubert Minnis urged eligible voters to register by April 10th, asserting that the ringing of the bell signals an opportunity for a referendum on the failed government leadership that has been the unfortunate experience of all Bahamians over the last 5 years. He added that Bahamians will no longer have to suffer under a government that ignores the demand for transparency and accountability. Well, the Prime Minister's announcement prompted a mad rush for eligible voters who lined up outside the Parliamentary Registration Department and other voter registration centers throughout the capital. This as voters' card distribution centers remained relatively empty today. Our Jasmine Brown visited several of the centers and filed this report.
I think the process moving kind of slow, you know. Now, if they could pick it up now, because then people got to go to work, you know, you can't be standing around there all day and things.
That was the sentiment expressed by many voters we met lined up outside the Parliamentary Registration Office this morning. That line extended out the door and stopped at the department's driveway, prompting the department to initiate a number system. Anthony Neely says he arrived more than an hour before registration began, only to be number 31 in line.
Yeah, slow. That's about it.
Others blamed what they called an antiquated registration system.
I think it's ridiculous for the 21st century again. Why does it have to take this long? I have number 18. They have already called the first 10 persons in at 9:30. And so it's after 10 and I'm still sitting here waiting.
Unfazed by criticism, Parliamentary Commissioner Sherlyn Hall said at this point, those voters have no choice but to be patient since they decided to wait until the last minute.
Have some patience. We were doing this from October 2015, so people had lots of time, but typical of our culture, people wait till the last minute. That's the price you pay. We try our best to cope.
Then there were those who had to pick up their voters' cards from distribution centers like this one at the new Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium. Those we spoke to gave mixed reactions about the process.
I'm happy that I did it earlier, because the earlier you do it, the better for you. You come, there's no wait. Everything's there waiting for you.
No, it's a total waste of time.
Voting or registering?
No, picking up the registration card.
You were able to pick up
No.
today?
I got to go to one church. I don't even know what the church is.
So you think there's been some confusion about where?
Ain't no confusion. They don't know what they're doing.
Activity was also slow over at the Remnant Tabernacle Church on Carmichael Road, where people trickled in to pick up their voters' cards. Audrey Marie Roll says she rushed to pick up her card after the PM's announcement.
All that pushed me a little bit too, yes.
And are you excited now that
I'm
you've registered?
excited. I'm very excited. So those who ain't do it yet, they need to hurry and get it done.
As of yesterday, 154,691 people have registered to vote out of some 180,000 eligible voters. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And the third Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival Festival has been postponed. The event was scheduled for May 4th to 6th. No new date has been set. Bahamas National Festival Commission Chairman Paul Major confirming to our news today that the commission advised the Prime Minister that it would be best to hold the carnival on a later date considering the upcoming general election. Today, Prime Minister Perry Christie told our news he has accepted their recommendation.
I am advised by the Carnival Commission has met and agreed because of the pending possibilities to suspend or extend the date for Carnival. I don't know the dates they have chosen, but it's my understanding that that has been done.
The Nassau Guardian is reporting that the decision was made only a day after the commission announced plans and dates last Thursday. But the news is not sitting well with many Bahamians invested in Junkanoo Carnival. Stephen Roll is the owner and promoter of the Bahamas Carnival Cruise, where visitors were scheduled to sail from Miami to Nassau for the three-day festival. He says it's possible his company could suffer the loss of tens of thousands of dollars as a result of the postponement.
We're going to have to find some way to compensate them. I have a group traveling from Spain. They've purchased airline tickets already. So the purchased airline tickets from Spain to Nassau for Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival for an event that was promoted from January 2015. So, I mean, the Ministry of Tourism, the Bahamas Festival Commission, the Bahamas government has been promoting that Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival will happen May 6, 2017.
Roll says he thinks this delay could cause the international carnival community to lose all respect for Junkanoo Carnival. In addition, he says he doesn't think it's fair to companies and groups who have invested thousands of dollars into Carnival only to be told of its postponement only a month before.
Right now, our losses would probably be over $25,000. And I'm talking, but that's the company alone. That's the money that we have personally invested in marketing, in securing a cruise ship, and securing hotel rooms and all these things. As far as the travelers, I mean, their loss is going to be well over $150,000. Collectively, that's what they would have invested.
In other news, residents of Jubilee Gardens are still suffering from last month's massive fire at the New Providence landfill. We now know copper thieves may be responsible for the fire, which continues to cause health concerns for hundreds of New Providence residents who marched for the right to clean air Sunday. Giorgio Bain tells us more.
Members of We March joined with Jubilee Gardens residents on Sunday evening to march from the Cable Beach Strip to the office of the Prime Minister to make their demands known and to make it clear that they will no longer be ignored. Just over 100 supporters of the We March movement marched from the Scotiabank parking lot on West Bay Street to the office of the Prime Minister Sunday to voice concerns over a number of issues, including the so-called spy bill, VAT spending, Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, and the New Providence landfill. We March organizer Renard Henfield says despite threats against yesterday's march, he is proud of those persons who stood up for what they believe in.
And the significance of the day is that the Bahamian people marched on their Prime Minister, marched to the office of the Prime Minister. You know, we found our voice. We're no longer afraid to speak up. And again, for a long time, we've been told that we're passive people. I think this is that indication to every politician and every political party that we found our voice and we are not afraid to speak up and demand better.
Despite asserting last month that We March would publicly endorse another political party if its latest march did not get a response from the government, Henfield said yesterday that the group has decided to remain an independent voice of the people. We March was joined by residents of Jubilee Gardens who have endured smoky conditions for nearly a month since a massive fire at the landfill. Their signs read, "Jubilee lungs matter, our lives matter, rights delayed is rights denied." Residents who have been dealing with recurring dump fires for over a decade told our news they simply cannot take it anymore.
This march was the voice of them all. When we had to leave our homes, I had been on oxygen 3 times, and my daughter has been on oxygen. We had to leave our homes. When you had to leave your home, that is the voice of them all.
I really need to breathe clean air. Me, my family, my children, my grandchildren need clean air. And if it takes moving the dump or moving us, that's what needs to be done.
This is very important for the Jubilee Gardens resident. As you know, it's been a month since we have been devastated by the dump fires, and just to have come onto this wall is significant for us today because we are in solidarity. We are there to show that our lives matter. We are there to say to our government that it's time for you to have this resolution resolved.
Reporting for our news, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
Still to come on our news, several men charged in connection with recent murders. Stay with us.